Welcome to Groundwork, a podcast from McClanahan Corporation to talk about key material processing topics. Whether we're talking about raw materials or giving valuable resources a new life, we'll break down the best methods, tools, and innovations in aggregate and mineral processing that keep the world running. Because if it's not grown, it's mined. My name is Mark Krause. I'm Vice President of Business Development for the Americas here at McClanahan. Been in the industry 47 odd years. Been with McClanahan about 12 years. And today on Rock Solid Stories, we have a very special guest. And Leland, if you'd please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mark. My name is Leland Meiser. I am the president of DeLisi Brothers Company in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
And could you real quick just explain what DeLisi does, who they are, where they're based, all that?
DeLisi Brothers Company is located in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We're known for aggregates, ready-mix concrete. We have 10 rock quarries in Oklahoma. We have 4 rail terminals where we move stone and sand, 3 in Oklahoma, 2 in Texas. We have 4 sand plants and 50 ready-mix concrete plants.
Great, thanks for that. So I want to start by asking my usual question to anybody, and that is, we all have a story. So Leland, would you please tell us what's the story of how you got into the aggregate industry?
I've been with DeLisi for 37 years. So I came to DeLisi at a very young age and started in the precast part of our company. And I've held many different roles throughout the company. And it wasn't until 2016 that I got into the aggregate side of the business. And so in 2016, I was asked to move from Tulsa, where I was working and located with DeLisi, to come back to Oklahoma City and take over our aggregate sales department. And so I kind of got into aggregate sales as the aggregate sales manager, worked in aggregates there, kind of just redesigning the aggregate sales system that we had in place and kind of how we did sales at that time. And got to do that, and was very exciting to kind of rebuild that and take, my experience in sales and sales management and logistics and put it to use in that atmosphere and in that world. And then shortly after, I want to say it was probably like 8 months after, I became the general manager of all of our aggregates. So I was over aggregate sales and then operations over our quarries and sand plants as well. So I got introduced into the operation side of aggregates really quick, but I really grew up around the aggregate side of the business, Mark, because spending so much time in the ready-mix side of the business, you get to know aggregates really well.
Just to back up a second, so you started precast. Did you know anything about precast at all when you got into it, or what attracted you to precast?
So coming out of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I didn't feel like I was college material. I made good grades, but I didn't enjoy school, didn't like it. And my uncle, all through my senior year of high school, worked at DeLisi and worked at our pre-stress plant. We called it pre-stress is what it was called, but it was pre-stress precast plant. And he kept saying, DeLisi is such a great company. You got to come to work for him. You got to come to work for him. And if when I was thinking about school and I was thinking about college, Mark, I keep saying that if the girl that sat in front of me would have just applied herself a little bit more, we would have made better grades. And so because that didn't happen, I decided that I needed to do something different. And so I gave it a shot and came to DeLisi as an 18-year-old kid, just got out of high school. And I knew how to work hard because of how my upbringing. And so the pre-stress hard work in a precast plant didn't scare me off. And it just really started a path of getting my foot in the door with this company, which then started to open up different opportunities.
Gotcha. That's great. It's a great story. So I'm assuming you've had opportunities to move to other places, but obviously you've chosen not to. What additionally would you like to express about DeLisi that's made you stay there for 37 years?
That's a really interesting question that I don't know anybody's ever asked me that in that way. So it's a nice job, Mark. Yeah, I have had other opportunities, and I think that early on when I started, when I got into this, when I hit my stride in the sales side of the business, was really when I started getting a lot of offers and other opportunities because I was doing really well in sales, so I was starting to get noticed a little bit, and I was enjoying my path through Delisi, and I could see opportunities for growth and advancement, and even sometimes the path wasn't clear, but I felt like that I kind of had a proven method with this company that if I worked hard and I made impacts and I made a difference, then I would be given opportunities. And I never really knew where the opportunity was coming from, but I kept getting opportunities that challenged me in different ways. And so it was exciting to not only be with a private company and kind of a family-owned company when Mr. Delisi was alive, to then, after Mr. Delisi passed away, we still remained private. So there was an appeal to that, and we kind of got to do things the Delisi way, and we could change that and we could brand that in different ways as we moved forward and as we grew as a company. And so I think later in my career, when opportunities came about, it was really a loyalty piece there that I came from the ground up. I came from being a frontline employee. My first job was a laborer, so I was a laborer, as my first role. And to be a laborer and then be, the sales manager of a company, and then be a general manager of a company, and then be vice president of the company, and then work your way into the president role, it was there was a loyalty there, and I kind of this is what I know. This is what I do, and I just didn't want to leave.
Great admiration for that, to stay with one place and all the different things that come at you. At the same time, it says a lot about the Delisi way that, you can walk your way from starting on as a laborer and working your way up to the president that you are today. I mean, that's a great story, both personally and for the company that you represent at the same time. So a follow-up question is, you got a favorite memory or a favorite story about your time at Delisi?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite stories is, getting the opportunity to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, because Tulsa was a kind of a market that we just were never in, and so we were in aggregates and ready mix concrete pretty much all over the state of Oklahoma, with the exception of Tulsa. Tulsa is the second largest city in the state, and so we were just looking for the right opportunity. And in late 2009, negotiations started, and into 2010, and there was a ready mix company, a small privately owned ready mix company in Tulsa, that they were wanting to sell, and they reached out to us, and they had a desire for Delisi to own their company, and they liked the way that we did business, they liked the way that we treated our people, and because it was their company, they wanted that, they felt like that we would take good care of what they started, and we would take good care of their employees. And so in the past, Mark, it was kind of interesting because when those opportunities arose, it was always a operational person that got to go start something new or take over a large market. And it was somebody that was very operational, had operations experience. Well, at that time, all my career was in the sales side of the business. Now, I had spent 5 years in quality control, so I spent 5 years in the engineering department in QC. So I knew materials, and I knew specifications, and so, but I did not have an operations background. I was basically a sales background with QC underlying, and kind of a QC foundation. And so when I was asked to go to Tulsa to run and start that division for Delisi, it was a great opportunity. I went up there and met the employees when the announcement was made, and so I think it was the scaredest that I've ever been in my life. That night, we went up, met the employees. we were taking over as Delisi the next day, and I was laying in my hotel room looking up, and I was like, wow, this is crazy that I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna run this operation. And I was extremely nervous, and so I got to do that, and just was able to grow our Delisi market into what we have there today. And so in a short period of time, after start going up to Tulsa and starting that division with one company, 2 plants, we acquired another company that had 5 plants, and so we got really big really quick in a matter of about less than a year. So I got to grow it fast. I was on the fast track.
I understand. I also went from sales to operation in my career as well. So I'm going to ask you, there had to be some challenges going from sales to operations. You want to share a couple of those challenges?
Absolutely. I think the challenges there's a couple different challenges. One, when I came up there, I got a lot of, well, you don't know anything about operations, so how in the hell are you going to make this work, was kind of what I got. And I was like, well, I said, there's 2 ways to look at this. You can have operations experience and come up here and not have any sales experience, and you can run trucks, plants, and all the equipment that needs to happen to be able to produce ready-mix concrete. But if you don't have any place for it to go, then your operations experience stops right there. I know how to sell it, and I know how to move it. Now I just got to have the right people. I got to surround myself with the right people to make sure that we do a good job and a solid job on the operations side of things. I think the biggest challenge was some great advice I had gotten that once when I was from my current boss before I went up there. He told me that you're going to get tested because you don't have operational knowledge, and people are going to push you to see how far they can push you. And I was like, that's not going to happen. That happened to him, but it's not going to happen to me. And so I got up there, and once people started finding out that I had a sales background and not an operational background, people would see how far they could push toe the line with me, and really seeing that it was more about how you treat people and how you interact and connect with people than it is about whether you're good at sales or bad at sales, or good at operations or bad operations. It really becomes the people you surround yourself with, and then how you connect with them, motivate them, and drive them to achieve great things. Now, you did ask me about a funny story, and I'll try to make this brief. But before I went to Tulsa, like I'd mentioned, I was a sales manager. I had our largest concrete customers as my 5 accounts. Our 5 largest customers were my accounts. So I was calling on presidents and vice presidents of companies. I was in a corner office at our general office, which is where we were at that time. And so I was entertaining very large customers in prominent roles of vice presidents and chief estimators and presidents of companies, taking them to Oklahoma City Thunder games, and nice dinners. And when I went out to Tulsa, we were in a very small town called Catoosa, Oklahoma, and we had an unpaid COD like the first week. And my operations manager said, we have to go collect some money from one of the Midnights, which are an Amish community. And I was like, I didn't even know we had that community in Oklahoma. So we go to the farm because they don't have phones. Everything's a horse and buggy, and they had a farm, and we go there and knock on the door, and we tell them who we are. They invite us in the house. So we were talking to them about the money that they owed us and that we hadn't got collected. And so small conversation happens. My operations manager runs out to his truck to get the invoice that he left in there. And I had a flash that I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm watching all this happen around me. And I was like, what happened to my career? Like 2 weeks ago, I was at a Thunder game. I was in the corner office of our corporate office, taking large customers to Thunder games. And now I'm in a midnight person's house begging for money. So what happened to my career, and did I make the right decision? So there's my funny story.
Onto the serious side, real quick after that story, to take us a different direction. So safety, and obviously, as an industry, we talk about safety all the time, every day, every day, every day. Do you have a safety story or something you want to talk about with safety?
Mark, we told ourselves as a company that we were the safest company around for many years. And so we were just believing in the hype that we were told we were a safe company. We were told we were one of the safest companies. But who was telling us that? Well, it was at the time, it was our safety department. And but our numbers and our safety numbers and the amount of injuries that we were having didn't didn't align with that. And it really took Mark Helm, he was our president and CEO at the time. He's now our CEO. It took somebody from the top to really challenge that and go, no, we're not a safe company and we're not great at safety. And so he took it personally and took on the challenge of making us a safe company. And it really started with, getting rid of the hype of us telling ourselves that we're great, even though we were getting people hurt, and rebranding ourselves. And we had to partner with a third-party consultant, and we had to learn how to do safety different. And it really started with to change the way we looked at safety and stop looking at lagging indicators and start looking at leading indicators. And if you're just reporting on injuries, are you really learning anything from them? And what are you doing to prevent the next one from happening? And so it was really just kind of a rinse and repeat cycle of reporting what happened and hoping that we don't do it again. And this moving to leading indicators and key performance indicators really helped us change the way that we look at safety. And so we started a new safety program. We partnered, like I mentioned, with a third-party consultant, and really changed the way that we looked at safety from a company and a cultural aspect. And where it really landed was just getting people in the front line to get their ideas, get buy-in. They're the ones doing it every day. They know where the dangers are, and they know what shortcuts are being taken. So really wanting and involving them in CI teams, continuous improvement teams, and like how do we get better at safety? Well, we have to stop doing this, and this. And okay, well then let's stop doing that. Let's put things in place to eliminate those jobs or eliminate those tasks that have to be done. And so our motto now is making safety a personal value. So you have to come to work and you have to make it personal that you want to make safety valuable. You want to make safety a personal value. And so it's a choice you make. And if we all hold ourselves accountable and we hold each other accountable, then we can achieve better safety results. And so really, I think that leading from the top, change from the top, leading from the top, really meant a lot. That we weren't doing the job that we needed to do. So how do we get it done? And it took 5 years to get it implemented to where we could start really seeing the results. And then we had some years of success. Then it started to drop off a little bit, and we had to re-engage to make it happen again. So it's a journey that never stops. If you get relaxed on it for just a few minutes, something bad's going to happen. It has to be something that you're focused on all the time.
Well, congratulations on the improvement, and changing culture is never quick and easy. And as you said, always has to be constant. And so it's like something that our industry always faces and will continue to face. Speaking of things that we'll continue to face, what challenges do you see for our industry over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
It's a really great question. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, the two things that come to mind are workforce development. Getting people in the industry, attracted to the industry, and typically if you can get them in and you can get them, show them what we do and show them the impact that we make, in the communities that our industry works in, and the communities that we build around us. You can get people excited about what we do and have a passion for it and stay. But I think getting people attracted and workforce development's the number one hurdle and challenge I see over the next 3 to 5 years. It's been a problem for a while, but it seems to continue to be a constant struggle. The other one I think are regulations against our industry or that impact our industry. I think our our entire world, especially in the United States, has taken on a trend of not in my backyard. That you want aggregates close, and you want construction materials close. You want concrete plants close and asphalt plants close, but not because that way you get a more economic roadway or a more economic building if the materials are readily available close by, but nobody wants it in their backyard. So lots of protests now, lots of more regulations that negatively impact our industry. So I think staying on top of the NSSGA does a fantastic job of staying on top of government affairs. So not only do we have to do it, each company has to do it at a local level. We have to support our association and make sure that we're doing it at a federal level as well, so that we can protect our industry going forward. So workforce development and regulatory are the two things that really come to mind.
Great, thanks for that. I'm going to ask for a favor. So you're going to give me like a 15-second pitch as to why some young person should get involved in our industry.
So why a young person would get involved in our industry?
Yes, sir.
It's a great way to make a living. It's you can support your family, you can have a great career and a great life, and you can make a difference in your community because you're helping build it.
You get to meet a lot of nice people too.
No, absolutely. You get to the amount of people you get to know and the connection you make is huge.
So, want to give some advice to some people that are new to the industry? How do they grow? How do they see a career path?
Yes, I do, because of my path with DeLisi, and I've held, I want to say I've had 15 different titles. I've had a lot of different jobs. I've moved around a lot. Because of that upbringing through the company, and my path is be a sponge. Everywhere you are, be a sponge and learn as much as you can, ask questions, and just try to absorb as much as you can, because you may be coming out of college with a degree, but you haven't applied that degree yet, and you haven't done anything with it yet. So this is your opportunity. So as opposed to coming in and going, I have my degree or I have experience in this area, now it's time for me to shine. If you slow down the pace and you absorb and you ask questions and you learn the industry and you combine that with your education, you become invaluable. And so it's really take the blinders off, start absorbing real-time data, and start asking questions about, what does that data mean? What's it telling us? And so I just think be a sponge is would be my advice to somebody new coming in.
Well, thanks for that. I'm going to twist this a little bit to something you brought up, and that's NSSGA, which is National Stone, Sand, and Gravel Association, for those that don't know. And could you give a little pitch as to why you think being a member of NSSGA is valuable? And also, since I know you are the chair of the education committee, why, in addition to what you've already said, why do you think education is important?
Well, I think so. First of all, for why it's important to be involved in NSSGA as a company is, power by numbers. And, everything NSSGA stands for is doing our job in the aggregates industry to the best of our ability, providing materials that grow our economy and that grow, the construction communities, and doing it all the right way. And so we want to be the best of the best. And so when you're involved, you're part of all the people that really want to do it right and that really want to make our industry stronger, make it better. And so where the power by numbers comes from is that like those regulatory things and challenges that come about that negatively impact our industry. If you're one company or two companies that go together, you have a voice. But if your national voice, overall the entire United States comes together through NSSGA, you have a lot more power. Your voice is louder. It means more. It's backed by a lot of large companies, a lot of small companies, and it's it really drives the industry in the right direction. Now, the second part of the question, is I am the chairman of the Meetings and Events Committee. that we do training at all of our educational events. And, I think that some of the most important things that we do are keeping everyone engaged throughout the year from an educational training perspective. We keep bringing new ideas, and what does the industry want to hear? Well, okay, now we do all kinds of webinars, and we've transitioned from, being a subject matter expert in a certain field to really transition to workforce development and people. It's like we used to look at and focus a lot on processes. Now we have to focus on people and how do we manage the people that we have? How do you get the most out of them? How do you train them? And so we're looking at the safety aspect of what we do. We're looking at the educational training part of what we do, and it's keeping people engaged. And as you go along within SSGA throughout the year, it's really our committee's job and focus to continue to improve that education and training element of what you do.
I first have to say thank you for your commitment to that committee and all the work that you've done. You've been at it for years, and we continue to have great education sessions, whether it's Ag One or Con Expo. So again, thank you for your level of service there and commitment to that, to the association, the industry, and the committee. I'm going to give you last word. What do you want to say to the listening public about Leland, about the industry, about DeLisi? Go.
Oh, wow. Industry, DeLisi. So I feel like, that's a loaded question. That's a tough one. I've got the opportunity to do a lot of different things, all with one company. That's my path. I know other people have a different path that, they get to have different experiences with different companies. And either path you take, I would say, if I got to hit the rewind button mark and do it all over again, I would force myself to slow down and enjoy the journey. And so I think the journey, we're all wanting to grow. We're all wanting to continue to increase our knowledge about the industry and about what we do. We're wanting to be better at our jobs and become the best at what you do. And then that typically leads to, when's my next promotion? I want this job, and moving up the chain and moving up the career ladder. And so we all have that. I'd say a lot of people in this industry have that drive and have that ambition. My exit statement would be, slow down and enjoy the ride, because the journey of getting to that position you want, or the career that you're looking for, that journey is some of the funnest part, is learning and being part of something great.
Well, that was well said. I thank you for that. I knew you would. I knew you had it in you. So again, we appreciate all the time today, the insight, the kind words, all of that. Thank you for listening to Groundwork, a McClanahan podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite listening app for new episodes, and follow McClanahan on social media for more content.
I'm Regional Sales Manager Matthew Lear. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and check out these other videos. To never miss an episode, click the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. I'm Regional Sales Manager Matthew Lear. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and check out these other videos. To never miss an episode, click the notification bell and subscribe to the channel.